Hi, my name is Anyango Mpinga and I'm a fashion designer from Nairobi. I'm very excited to be one of the designers invited to be part of the Helsinki Fashion Week Designer Residency this year. And I wanted to start my presentation as part of the residency with a small introduction into what inspired my collection. This season, it was really important for me to carry on with my tradition of collaborating with different artists. And I remember just before the pandemic, I had started working with an artist called Naya, and we were creating a travel series. And so I wanted to carry that forward into my collection. And travel ended up being a really important theme, at least virtual travel ended up being a very important theme in creating this collection. I started working on my collection Digital Nomads for Helsinki Fashion Week while I was in quarantine. And what I was really particularly drawn to was the element of 3D design and virtual reality, bringing fashion into life through 3D, creating a collection without really wasting any resources in terms of materials, and also just imagining something where you could be anywhere in the world and this is what it would look like. As I was creating this collection, I remember one of my friends asking me, if you could be anywhere in the world, where would you be right now? The response to that was, I would be in Lamu. I would be at the coast of Kenya on Lamu Island, sailing on a traditional dhow, preferably at sunset. I started revisiting Swahili architecture, looking at the coastal construction and the technologies, which are really a representation of mainland African traditions. When you look at the architecture in Swahili construction, and structural elements such as the domes and barrel vaulting, these are all really deeply connected to the Persian Gulf and South Asia. One particular architectural element that I find really appealing is the signature Swahili wall carvings, also known as the Zizaka niches, which were used to display lamps and ornamental objects in Swahili architecture. Lamu is a UNESCO heritage site. It is considered the oldest place in East Africa and is also considered as the best preserved Swahili settlement in the same area, where it has successfully retained most of its traditional architectural delights and cultural functions. Lamu Old Town exudes the simplicity of its structural forms. The place is magnificently built in mangrove timber and coral stone. It has a picturesque of traditional houses, elaborate carved wooden doors, and extravagant verandas. The town features inner courtyards dating back to thousands of years ago. Being a remarkable center for the study of Islamic and Swahili cultures, Lamu has hosted many major festivals since the 19th century. While creating this collection, it was really important for me to collaborate with different artists across the board. And so the first artist that I had collaborated with prior to this was a Kenyan painter called Onyis Martin. His art is really a representation of freedom and movement. I worked with him on his art to create a campaign called the Human Oneness Campaign. I felt like the message of oneness was really needed during a time when the world was going through such a traumatic experience. And so working with him and seeing him talk about his artwork was really, really interesting for me.
For me, basically, water is used as a medium, but also a transition. So it helps any medium I use to move freely. You know, when water is moving, it's so free when it's moving. And for me, like, to see that delicate movement or freedom of movement, you know, it's something very interesting. It's something very natural. Something that we as human beings don't have. I'm interested in human movement, and with human movement I say, because people say human need is food, shelter, and clothing. For me, these are just secondary needs, because for me the basic need is movement. So if man cannot move, man cannot get food, cannot get shelter, cannot get clothing. If you see the way I work is I put water and then put ink. So the ink will only stay where the water is, like leaving a mark, but also having two medium combining together to leave a mark. For me, that is more stronger when two different things combine to leave that mark. Is one is strong, but two or more is even more stronger.
The second artist I'm really, really excited about collaborating with is Baboa, who is a 3D artist from Ghana and create beautiful digital renders and has been amazing to work with through this process. And I think what this process has really shown me is how labor intensive it is to create through 3D, you know, creating a virtual reality showcase. I think it's easy to assume that, oh, because it's all done on the computer, it's going to take less time, but actually getting the details right has consumed a lot of time, and I'm so appreciative of her skill set because she has really taken the time to understand my design aesthetic.
Working on Digital Nomads with Anyango and Mpinga was an amazing experience. Her designs presented a welcome challenge for me because they are beautifully detailed. By using the services Bound Labs has to offer, we have been able to create true-to-life visuals for her new collection and bring the vision she has for it to life in a short amount of time. We started off with sketches and patterns that were then modeled onto our plus-size avatars that we created specifically for this project. Part of the avatar creation process was to make sure that we represented women who we don't often see in fashion. What really interests me in 3D design is how fast changes are able to be made compared to in real life. Also, it's amazing to be able to create almost anything you can imagine on the computer. It kind of takes you into a different world, and that's how I feel when I'm working.
I'm really, really, really excited about this collection because it's a great representation of my design aesthetic and also the relaxed nature of Lamu Island, you know, the coast. You have very loose-fitting outfits that you could take on vacation. And I also like the prints that I came up with this time. All the prints are inspired by Zidaka niches, and you can see all the shapes and the structures from the wall carvings. And I hope you enjoy the collection as much as I do.
nasa